We are Absolute Radio, and right now, you're listening to Frank Skinner's section of the broadcast.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. Now then, I'm with Alan Cockerel. I'm Frank Skinner.
Hello, Mr. Radio.
And we think that we might have found a jingle for Emily Dean, but we'll have more news of that later. But we've had
keep our powder dry.
But you,
More
the
of which
listeners,
later.
always good to ask about anything. You, the listeners, know everything. I've come to refer to you as Ugle, because it's you, but you're a bit like a bugle. See, never give them what they're expecting. That's my motto.
No one was expecting that.
No, exactly. I wasn't even. And what's more, I'm profoundly regretful. Nevertheless, so it's great to be on Absolute Radio. Only last night I was in Canterbury Cathedral being interviewed by the Archbishop of Canterbury. I say being interviewed, when I got there, I thought he was interviewing me, and then there was some confusion as to whether I was interviewing him or he was interviewing me just before we went on.
Oh, really?
I didn't have any questions up my sleeve, and his sleeves were so flared.
Well, I was going to say...
Nothing would stay there.
He keeps a lot up those sleeves, the AC, I call him.
They would have tumbled out, those.
Yes.
How was the AC?
I call him the A, B of C. It makes more sense.
I love
he's
it.
the beginning, the alpha.
He
Is
is.
he the Amiga? We don't know yet. We're waiting till the end.
How was he?
He was great.
Oh.
He was great.
Did he have questions?
Well, we didn't really have. We just chatted. It was nice. We talked for about... we did an hour and a half.
Did an hour and a half.
The great thing... we did.
Still with comic sensibilities.
It was,
hour and a half.
It was
plus
a
the
bit...
encore.
Like, if you could imagine...
You killed it, AC.
If you could imagine a special theological episode of Unplanned... It was like that, Skinner and Williams on plan. But it was, it was great. Well, I tell you, was one scary bit when the other vicar that works at Canterbury Cathedral came to pick us up from the what they called the Dean Room. They didn't have a green room; they had a Dean room.
No, that was especially for me. You shouldn't have been in there.
Yeah, where were you?
Yeah.
So we walked across. Everyone was in the cathedral at this point. So me and the Archbishop, I walked across between the Archbishop and the vicar of
The OV, the other vicar.
the other vicar. And we walked across this courtyard alone, and I thought, this reminds me of something. Oh, yes, it's being executed. Don't you normally walk between two clergymen across a desolate courtyard? Well, they never even given me a big meal before. So, But the best thing about it is now, I know this, I'll deliberately drive through Canterbury quite a lot. So when we pass the cathedral, I can say to whoever I'm with, oh, I've played there.
Great.
Yeah.
And did you just do the hour and a half and nothing extra? You didn't come back on for an extra bit?
No, well, I have to get back, because
encore.
I have to get up for the radio show. See, I was invited to dinner after.
Oh,
and
he
then,
couldn't be wined and dined by them.
No, I got out there and jumped straight into a waiting car. It was brilliant.
Like Elvis, I
Yeah,
love it.
It was like doing a bank job. There was a car waiting, and we were off and out of Canterbury. Anyway, enough of my crazy old reminiscences. If you've got any good Archbishop of Canterbury yarns, you can text us on 81215, and we'd love to hear from you. Actually, you can text us about anything you like, because we love you. Well, not you, mate, but everyone else listening. We're mad about. I don't like people doing that when they're listening. I feel
We've had a
uneasy.
text in already, Frank, 712. Dear Frank, lovely Emily, their words, not mine, and the Cockerel, why do female celebrities always seem to exercise in an open-air park?
That is
Well, that's very true.
But this is a thing that personal trainers are quite keen on, I've
Is
noticed.
that right?
Yeah, because I sometimes walk through Victoria Park Gardens on my way home, which is in London on the side of the River Thames, where there's a statue of Rodin's The Burghers of Calais, if anyone's in town looking for public art. Nevertheless, that's my second nevertheless of the morning. I see... Often it is often attractive women, women in like
Really?
vests in great shape in there with like a big muscular man like kicking leather gloves and
are they?
stuff. I mean, leather gloves they're wearing, not just kicking leather gloves around the park. Yeah, so I think it's a thing that personal trainers have done, and
okay.
also I think there's a hint in this text that maybe they're hoping to be photographed.
There's a bit of Delolio business going on.
Yes, she wouldn't do that, would she? I met Nancy Delolio once. Did I tell you that?
No, I don't.
She's more attractive than you might imagine. Because I've always thought that...
Is she?
Yeah. I always thought there was a hint of Alice Cooper about her on. But, yeah, I was surprised. And she's quite petite as well. Yeah. I like the idea of her and Sven. There's an element of Bride of Frankenstein about it. You know, the dithering professor trying to build this beautiful woman. Oh, well, started well, hasn't it?
We are Absolute Radio, and right now you're listening to Frank Skinner's section of the broadcast.
Absolute Radio.
There she goes, by the Lars. The Cockerel loves that track.
Do you know what? I heard
He loves
that
it.
on my iPod just the other day. iPhone, iPod, whatever. But
Yeah.
it came up, so there
You
goes
got a
the,
shuttle on there, have you?
There goes the no repeat guarantee. I don't suppose Absolute were to know. But
No, I don't think that includes your iPod.
I'd love it if it extended to a personal repertoire.
It's quite a narrow deal in lots of
Yeah.
ways, like so many of these deals in life. So, regular listeners might remember that at just about 12 months ago to the day, my girlfriend Kath broke her toe. It was a right old palaver. We were at a yoga weekend,
Oh,
and
yeah.
she ran into an upturned cauldron on a lawn, caught the handle on her foot, and well, she went down like
Sack of spuds.
yeah, exactly. And I didn't want to. Sack of spuds came into my mind, but I thought in 2 weeks' time, Kath will say to me, "Did you say I was like a sack of spuds on the radio?
Oh,
What
no,
did you mean
no,
by
I'm
that?"
going to get it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so last week I went after the show. We often brunch after the show. The team, and we were in a local. I'm going to call it a gay restaurant. I think that's fine. And we were in there. Well, it is, isn't it?
I know, it makes it sound...
The service is better.
when you paused, I thought you were
Heterosexuals,
going
it's
to
like
say eatery.
Don't you find heterosexuals like they don't want to serve you?
I agree. Do you know, there's no attention to detail either.
No,
Yeah.
I'm getting to really dislike heterosexuals in the catering context. I got on a train from London to Scotland, and the bloke said to me, I said, "Can I have the sandwich from the..." He said, "Sorry, we've got no bread."
Oh,
I said, "We've just left one of the world's great cities. Could you not have got bread there?" He said, "Oh, well, the thing is that the staff changes at London." And I said, "Hold
That's
on, is
no
that an
answer.
answer to... Have I turned 2 pages in this conversation? Is that an answer to the question I just asked? I don't think so." Nevertheless, third. That's it now, that's it. Another
Sounds
nevertheless.
The cockerel's going to crow now 3 times.
Oh, I haven't denied anyone, have I? Hold on, I'll keep a list of how many denials I do on the show. No, only just the one so far.
So, the toe.
So anyway,
Cat's pinky.
I got a text saying, "I think I broke my toe again. Can you meet me at the hospital?" So I thought, it spoiled my brunch. I don't know about you, but I can't enjoy an omelette if I've got a fracture hanging over me like that.
No, I'm with you there.
So now she's broke the toe on her other foot. So the doctor looked in a very sombre fashion, shook his head, and said, "I think your this little piggy went to market days might be over."
Oh.
It was a touchy moment. When we got there as well, we weren't sure where A&E was, and there's a brilliant thing. I don't know if this is deliberate, but there was a lot of blood on the pavement at one point, and I said, "This'll be it." Sure enough, it was like a sign.
That cannot be deliberate.
No,
surely.
I hope
An actual
not. I mean,
sign.
it was quite. Some of it was quite. Some of it, well, I'm going to say congealed. I know it's early in the morning, but some of it was congealed. It was like, those blokes that stand holding the sign that say golf sale. It was a version of that.
Maybe there was meant to be a proper sign, but the cuts have really bitten, and they've just gone, they'll know. Look, there's big puddles of blood on the way in.
Puddles of blood as a result of the cuts.
Oh.
Anyway, so, by the way, I saw one of those golf sale blokes on Oxford Street the other day, and he didn't have the sign. They usually have a sign on a stick.
Oh, they've got to have
that
the
says
sign,
golf sale.
the placard.
No, he had a jacket, and on the back it said golf sale. Now, I don't know if he'd come up with this himself, but it looked like he'd been supplied with it. It was a high-vis.
All right.
Oh, of course it was a high-vis.
There was a time I used to associate high-vis with authority. I mean, respect would kick in as soon as I saw it, and now everyone's got a high-vis. And then the other day, the ultimate indignity for the high-vis jacket, I drove behind a lorry with wood sticking out the back, wooden planks, and someone had hung a high-vis jacket on. You know, they put a rag on the back.
Oh, just as an afterthought.
Yeah, just as a sort of watch out for the wood.
Well, very good common sense move there. I once walked into a plank that was on top of a van.
Man walked into a plank.
On my way to college and knocked myself out nearly.
You walked into a plank on the back of a van.
Yeah.
Have you got any more north of England anecdotes you'd like to share with
the
us?
story took place in Cardiff, but
Did it?
whatever.
Well, you know, it's north of England, Wales, same thing. Oh, it was.
So was the experience? See, I respect your hospital confidence, Frank, because I cut my finger this week. It was a gusher. I didn't go to any. I toyed with the idea, and I was scared because I just felt my injuries were insufficient, and I thought the doctors would shout at me. I'm always really terrified.
Well, Kath was worried the fact that it wasn't as broken as the last toe, because it wasn't sticking out at 90-degree angle, so she was a bit worried. But they were fine about it. Yeah, they're happy for the company. People working A&E. But it's a great place, A&E, in that it's like in no other context would this be acceptable. There's a middle-aged woman sitting there, glasses on, not very well kept hair, and covered in face completely covered in, not completely covered, but quite bloody. Sitting there with her husband, and I thought, oh my God, she turned to the husband and said, "What time's X Factor on?" And I thought, this is brilliant, 'cause if this was on a bus, it would be an outrage, but in A&E, it's fine. Absolutely fine. The most shocking thing that happened to me was the receptionist, who was about 50, I said, "Oh," when I walked in, so I've just been listening to you on the radio, and I thought, oh, great. She said, "Oh, God," she said, "he was on there forever."
You're listening to Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Killers. Human. I'd like to see, you know that bit on Strictly Come Dancing when they say, "And now our professional dancers." I'd like to see them dance into that. Are we human or are we dancers? Ending with a big close-up of Anton de Bet looking straight into camera. It'd be brilliant.
Apparently we've had some texts in on 8-12-15.
Good news. I told you people were listening.
I know. Very worrying. We've had from 120 Dave Swift from Sales here, not enjoying the show. I think that's a little callback.
Yes, I should explain. I was on Radio 5 Live on Thursday, a station I have criticised in the past on this show for being Radio 4 for Dave Swift in the sales department. And so there, that's him, the mythical figure of Dave, as Dave Swift has said. Yeah,
Did you go Bacon?
Richard Bacon called me on it, as they say. He said, "I've heard you've been criticising 5 Live." He said, "What don't you like about 5 Live?" So we discussed that. That was 20 minutes.
That makes me feel slightly bilious, the thought of that conversation.
Yeah, well, it was, I was on there. As he said, "You don't mind coming on here selling your book, do you?" Which was a fair point. But we were talking, and a man came in and sat at my right hand. Not on my right hand, at my right hand. So we were carrying on talking. And I looked, and it was Jermaine Jackson, because people are always in and out. People are in and out reading the news and the weather and the...
I like him at your right hand, very people.
So we're chatting, he never said anything. This bloke just crept in and just out of my eye shot. And I looked across, and... so we carried on talking. He crept in very silently because it was the radio. And I said to Richard Bacon, I said, "Oh, sorry, I'm going to have to... I can't just sit here with Jermaine Jackson's come and sat next to me and not even refer to him." And he smelled great.
Oh, did he?
Oh, good. I'm glad you said great. I thought that was the end of the sentence. He smelt.
I thought it was the end of the series.
No, he smelt... I mean, if you imagine...
Cologne.
If there was an explosion at the body shop...
Right.
That's what he smelt lovely.
In a good way.
No, he smelt lovely. I said to him, God, you smell lovely, Jermaine.
He must have thought you were a freak.
No, he said, compared to what he's used to.
You were a voice of sanity.
You'd had to go some, wouldn't you, if Jermaine Jackson said he was a bit of a weirdo, wasn't he? So
I've never met his like in my time.
No, he was. He's a very gentle, very sweet man, and he said, I get it from the Middle East." Whatever this, and he was talking about
his perfume.
Are you sure he meant the perfume?
I think it was a moisturiser, because he simulated rubbing it on his neck as he spoke.
All right.
Unless that was his on-air way of saying, I'll strangle you if you speak to me once more. But he seemed very sweet.
I don't know the difference between eau de toilette and aftershave. What's the difference there?
Eau de toilette. Did I give you that steely look?
Yeah, I'd like to know.
Straying
that.
into an area. Eau de toilette is just
That's French.
Yes.
And aftershave is English.
Oh, is
That's
it?
Well,
the
no, eau de
difference.
toilette also it's a weaker version, Frank. It's a watered down.
But you don't have
version.
to. You don't have to just do it after shaving with eau de toilette. do you? You
course
can
not.
You can dab a bit of eau de toilette on whenever you feel
I'll put it
like
on
it.
more often.
Whereas after shaving, obviously, it's to close them pores.
Yeah, stings though.
Frank-
Anyway, that's not what we're.
We've had it's actually an email.
Mm.
It's an unusual email, and I rather like it. It's an anecdote concerning. It's called A B of C story.
I did ask for any Archbishop of Canterbury anecdotes
Well,
this
there you
morning.
go.
Of course.
Yeah.
And we've
I
got
hope
one.
Vicky Blight didn't ask for this on her show, and the no repeat guarantee is going out the window. Because I know it's a common theme on commercial radio, the Archbishop of Canterbury's various activities.
Yeah.
Anyway, what we got?
This is from Alex.
Okay.
When he was a young academic in Oxford in the 80s, this is the ABFC, he told a story about getting his first parish. Oh, I love those anecdotes.
Yeah.
He and his wife moved into the vicarage, and for supper the night before he was installed on the Sunday morning, he and Mrs. W had a lovely blackcurrant fool they'd made from berries they'd found in the garden.
Oh, they live off the land, don't they?
That's nice.
Once they got the place after the Reformation, they made the most of it. Okay, so they've had...
Yeah, they've had that. When he walked down the aisle on the Sunday morning, he couldn't feel his feet touching the ground and thought he was having a religious experience.
Wow.
At lunch afterwards, they finished off the fool and were really, really unwell. The blackcurrant bush, deadly nightshade.
Ooh. Well, I mean, this is a bit like... You know that story about Rasputin, the mad monk, when they sort of stabbed him 17 times and gave him poison and tried to drown him, but they still couldn't kill him? There's a suggestion that the Archbishop of Canterbury is immortal.
Yeah, he's built
Yeah.
up an immunity to it. You didn't
Yeah.
have a sip of his cordial last night, did you?
No, I didn't. And I didn't go anywhere near his full. He just sat at the side with a hat with bells on, saying, "Aye, nuncle, dost thou talk to a Catholic?" It was, I didn't like him. I found him creepy. And, yeah, he had like one big foot, one small one.
We are Absolute Radio, and right now, you're listening to Frank Skinner's section of the broadcast.
Now, cleanliness, they say, is next to godliness, but only in a really rubbish dictionary. That's some of the material I shall be using tonight. When I don't know if you're aware of this, but I've been the president of the Samuel Johnson Society. Samuel Johnson was an 18th century writer, and he
I
wrote a
remember
big
your
dictionary.
induction.
Yeah, and I have to hand it over tonight. My term is up.
Oh.
It's that thing, you know. It's like, you remember when Gordon Brown stood in outside number 10 Downing Street, gave that emotional sort of farewell. Well, obviously it hasn't gone that badly, but I hand over tonight, and the bloke phoned me up and he said, you know, you have to hand over to the new president. And I said, who is he? And he says, Susie Dent. And I said, oh, she's great in the Bond films. It's a very bad line. I don't mean that was a bad line. I mean that telephone thing was a bad. And Susie Dent is actually... See, I thought you said Judi Dench. Can I say...
Oh, Countdown. No, she's the Countdown
Yeah,
lady.
she's from Dictionary Corner.
From Dictionary Corner, yeah.
Did I ever tell you that Judi Dench, I was once having my photo taken outside the Ivy, which is quite a sort of posh restaurant in London.
If you're going to get it done anywhere, do it there.
Yeah, well, it was a press thing. It wasn't just a friend doing my photo. And a car pulled up and Dame Judi Dench got out. And as she went past, I heard her say, I thought this place was for celebrities.
She didn't.
She
She
did.
zinged you! You got zinged by
She
Dame
did.
Judy!
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, she's got
I
that
didn't
look.
know she had it in her.
Oh, yeah, she's got that look about her, don't you think?
Oh, she's turned. I
She's
love
got-
it.
Wow.
She's a woman very at home with a grimace.
I hope you fired something back like that.
No, I was taken aback to be cut down by Judi Dench. I mean, for goodness sake.
She trampled you underfoot by the sounds of
Yeah,
it.
but she looks like that. I mean, in the Bond film, she looks...
Yeah.
I tell you what she looks like. That the director says, OK, Dame Judy, we're just getting ready for this take now. And she'll say, OK, and she'll go, Karen. And a personal assistant will come over with a silver tray with a shot glass full of malt vinegar. She just knocks that back and then her face is in there. James, you're not making this any easier. That horrible pinched face of hers. Pinched. Anyway, it's not her. It's not her. It's
Well, I'm
Susie.
glad to hear it
Yeah.
after her
Well, you
appalling
could have got her
behaviour.
back. You could have got her back, though.
So it's Susie Dent.
In a way, I just did. But
She's a well-known. She's a lexicographer.
she is. I've heard that. No, she's married with 2 kids. She's very nice. Very that great combination we all like of attractive, but with brains.
Attractive and bookish.
Oh, I'm glad
What
you
a
said with
combo.
brains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she knows all the words. Susan.
She knows all the
She's the
words.
one-
She
the
can
job.
pass dictionaries.
Yeah, but when she'll sit next to someone like Giles Brandreth on there,
Oh, dear.
and then when they go over to them for a 7-letter word, the celebrity sometimes will say the word like they've thought of it. Yeah, right. So anyway,
Like when they pretend they had the same answer. Can't bear that. Yeah, I had the same one.
of course, we may recall that the Cockerels are a bit keen on the other lady.
Yes.
Yeah,
From
she's nice.
Countdown.
She's nice.
Yeah. She's. How can I say this? She's a very attractive woman indeed. When she turns into profile, there's an element of Seaside Postcard about her figure. She's very. Do you know what I mean?
There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yes,
The
I do.
Cockerel.
She has. How can I put this? Because I love Countdown, and also I don't like making crude remarks about females. But she's got one of those behinds with an element of bay window.
Do you know what I
About
think you
it.
call it? No, because I've got a behind like that. We call it junk in the trunk.
Is that what it
Yeah,
is?
bit of junk in the trunk.
Yeah, her behind could take a lace curtain, and postman would be knocking on her left
Yeah.
thigh, thinking it was a small house.
This isn't the conversation you're going to have with Susie
No, I
Dent,
won't be
is it?
mentioning that now. But I like the idea of going out with someone that, if it rains, you can shelter under them,
Yes.
which I think you could. But Susie Dent, no, well, she always sits, so who knows? I won't be looking. But anyway, I
Don't
have to
comment on that.
I have to do a speech in which I hand over the presidency.
Oh.
So I've written some stuff and that, but I tell you what I thought. I thought, well, we've got some very, very witty people listen to this show. We get some very funny texts coming, as you know. And I thought, well, what about if our listeners come up with some lines for tonight's speech at Samuel Johnson dinner? So that's basically the ingredients. I mean, I know these will all be puns. Try and fight the puns if you can, but if you can't, just enjoy yourself.
You've got a few gaps in the script or something.
Well, no, but I thought it would be nice to have an appendix, as she'd probably call it, at the
Yeah.
end when I say. And I asked about this, and this was some of the best. So that's the sort of ingredients. It's the Samuel Johnson, who was an 18th century writer, dictionaries,
Yeah.
Susie Dent,
You could
Countdown.
You could say something like, "Ooh, coming up with some jokes for this was a bit of a conundrum."
Yes.
Eh?
Well, I've already. Shall I tell you this? I'll
You've
tell you
got-
Have
this.
you got one already?
joking.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you that. Anyway, if you've got any gags, text in and we'd love. I'll tell you.
8:15.
I weren't going to tell this on there because if they're listening, it'll spoil it for tonight. But when I was at Warwick University, when I was a student, it started Countdown 1982,
Okay.
and we loved it so much that we used to play it in the halls of residence, all with these loads of bits of paper and stuff. So I used to, we cut it up between us, and I used to be like the question master person. And we had it was great. Some of them were on drugs. I didn't ask. But we used to do a numbers round and a letters round. But obviously, being a Catholic, I wasn't allowed to use a conundrum.
We are Absolute Radio, and right now you're listening to Frank Skinner's section of the broadcast.
Absolute Radio.
That was Call Me by Blondie. That was Debbie Harry, not Hitler's Alsatian. That's what you think. No, I think Hitler did call him. Otherwise, he'd go wandering off. You know what they're like.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, he's in Poland.
Oh no, he kept a pretty.
That's
pretty
how the
tight
invasion
rein.
started. He'd just following these looking for the dog.
Tight rein.
Can
He
you get
kept
some
a tight rein on Blondie, Frank.
I don't know if it was a rein. It was more of a leash, wasn't it?
Was it Was it an Alsatian? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blondie the Alsatian.
Not a German Shepherd. Definitely, it's the same dog in it.
It is the same dog, yeah.
No.
No, because
No, we only like blondies.
if it had been in the gossip columns that the Führer kept a German Shepherd in his bunker, I think it was
What, spotted?
I'd imagine
the Führer.
some old man with a crook in there, and it was some sort of spotted
The Führer stepping out.
goose stepping out. Anyway, that's enough about that. Although I know,
I love Third Reich AM.
yeah, that's. When I got up, when I got out the car, I get a car into to Absolute Radio, and when I got out the car, I'm pretty sure the driver said, "Okay, Death's Head."
What?
I think he said Death's Head when I got out the car, and I just went, "Yeah, have a nice day." I thought, I don't want to ask him about it, but it really sounded. I don't know if it was a comment on my gaunt feeling or some terrible prediction.
Oh.
Anyway,
Well, I've got some news that'll brighten your day.
good.
It's about me.
Yay.
We've had some emails in during the week, Frank, and I love a midweek emailer. This was a suggestion for an Emily Dean jingle.
Yes, as I pointed out earlier, that Alan Cockerel, very early on this show, someone was calling him the Cockerel, one of our listeners, and that's absolutely stuck. So his jingle is... Mine is...
Hello, Mr. Radio.
But one of the things I like, by the way, is that no one has texted in and said, "How dare you choose Mr. Radio?" I've just been allowed to get away with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It's under the net. Well done.
Yeah, I mean, Neil Fox must be livid. Anyway, I think of him actually as Monsieur Radio.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't had one.
No,
So,
not for
A
ages.
nickname.
no, not for a while. So, I was delighted this week. We've had 4 people, Frank. 4, that's quite a lot for us, emailing in with
That's
suggestions.
half a week's worth.
And it's pretty unanimous.
Yes.
Yes. Well, in fact, it is unanimous.
So who texted in?
Okay, so we've had Jeff, we've had Alex, we've had...
We've had Jeff Wilson, Alex Hutchings,
Oh, he's doing surnames, he's
Matt
good.
Black. That's presumably a joke. That might be a joke, mightn't it?
It might not.
Black. Or it might not.
And we've also had Ian Robinson.
Right.
Robinson.
And they all said the same thing.
They all said the same thing. Yeah.
And now I should point out, right, that Emily's surname is Dean, in case there's
Yeah.
anyone that doesn't know that. And this was their suggestion.
I love it.
Yeah.
And it's Pearl Dean advertising from
Pearl
the,
and Dean.
Pearl and Dean, yeah.
Yeah.
See,
Correct.
when I heard that, I always remembered it as someone going ba ba ba
So
ba
did
ba
I.
ba 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 ba. But I'm thinking maybe that was that voice message I got from Gareth Gates. I was thinking of. But no, didn't it used to be people going ba ba
Yeah,
ba ba?
it was
Anyway.
kind of 70s session singers, but I do love that. I'm so pleased with that.
Pearl and
Yeah,
Dean
we're
is
not
very
really
you.
covering the Pearl aspect. Can I say that?
No, but you are a lady of fashion.
Oh, well, I
aren't
am, exactly.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, no stranger to a Pearl. Oh. So,
Frank!
what? That's just a fashion thing. Maybe if we're gonna go radio adverts, I'm gonna get SRB. SRB. A sausage in a roll in a box for me. Although, as a Catholic, there was always something that made me uneasy about that. Don't know what it
Frank,
was.
have we got time for the other email?
We don't, because we have adverts, we have news, we got pig iron! We got all pig iron! I haven't done that for a long time. But you know what? It felt good. It felt really good. I felt my fingers, that they split into pairs instinctively, so they looked slightly like pig's feet as I sang it. It's a funny old world, isn't it?
We are Absolute Radio, and right now you're listening to Frank Skinner's section of the broadcast.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Alan Cochrane and Emily Dean.
That's
great. It's really fitting.
Is it?
Yeah.
I've never heard it in
Well, do
daylight
you know why
before.
I think it's fitting? Because you know you will get at least 2 hours of drama with me.
Yes.
Well, that is true.
Frank, we've had a text in 553. Well, I say 553. I'm actually,
553, 553, a sausage in... Go on.
it's actually a vet from West Brom.
Oh, Yvette.
She's not a vet. She's called...
Yvette from West Brom, okay.
This is an A&E. You know, you were talking about your A&E incident.
Yes.
Yvette says, I dropped a flower pot on my foot and broke my toe. I also walked into a sign on Asda car park and knocked myself out.
Oh, I think that's some solidarity with me for walking into the plank on the top of the...
Oh, yes, you're right.
Was that the same day that Yvette did that?
Well, presumably. She's unlucky. Some are unlucky.
I bet she's wishing she'd bought that lucky heather now.
I just imagine her wandering about on crutches with a bandaged foot and an eye patch on or something.
Yeah.
A bandage round the head.
Poor Yvette.
I have...
it's bad enough living in West Bromwich with an exotic name like Yvette. I imagine it's only a matter of time before she's driven out of town like a wild dog.
I have a couple of A&E things to mention. I think I'm possibly the only person in this radio studio that appeared in the Granada TV series A&E.
Oh, I always thought that was George Clooney.
Always and Everyone, I think they called it. Yep.
Oh, yes.
You are looking at the actor who played Jason, the asthmatic.
No.
Yeah, did too.
I like the sound of Jason the asthmatic.
Yes,
it's
I
like Peter
do.
the Wild. Jason the asthmatic is...
Jason the asthmatic
What
is
was it? It
definitely
was a
friend of the
drama,
show.
was it?
How
Yeah,
old
it
were you?
was,
I asked that because if
oh.
you're a child actor as well, you get out now.
No, I'm not a child actor.
Oh, good.
I studied acting as an adult.
Did you?
Sort
I never
of.
knew that. Did you go to drama school?
Went to drama school, strut and fret my hour upon the stage with the best of them. I can, yeah. I don't know how I got it. I did.
Never. I mean, you were a bit late for Northern Angry Young Men kitchen sink dramas. You needed to be around in the 60s. I could see you as Joe Lampton, man at the top.
I can.
I've got a touch of the Jimmy Porter about me when I get
Have you,
going.
really?
Do you know, I can see
absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
Yes, I used to be very look back in anger until I got rid of the rearview mirrors, you know. I never knew that.
Yeah.
The things you discover about people when you're doing a radio show.
I was in it with Martin
Old
Shaw.
adage.
Was it Martin Shaw?
Martin Shaw, who played Elvis in the first stage version of the Elvis story.
Well, can I just say,
Well,
there's
he's
an
more
interesting
known for the
connection here.
professionals,
Well,
isn't he?
yes, which I was in.
Oh, of
Yes.
course.
You were in the... I feel so...
I imagine listeners now are thinking, what is this that we are
I worked in a drop forgings in Langley Green. And we had very little outlet for our thespian tendencies.
Forgings.
Yeah.
Did they not
5-ton
sing?
hammers.
Did they not sing or whistle while they worked?
No.
Very nice.
I remember Joe Massey once took me outside. It was a winter, and it was dark, and he looked up at the sky. He said, "You see that? Sure sign." I had no idea what he was talking about. I nodded sagely, and we went back into the hammers.
Do you think he meant that there was rain on the way or something like that? There was just some cloud in the sky. Sure sign of rain.
To be honest, there was a large sign advertising deodorant across the road. Now, looking back, that might have been pertinent. Well, I never knew that. So you were in A. What else were you in?
But I've also been in A&E. I've been in the relay.
Oh, the relay. Well,
once
not many
upon a
people
time.
have been in both.
I have a story that it's a story.
You've got a story. Shall we sit cross-legged on the floor? Is it going to be in the realms of Stig of the Dump?
I've turned the fire on.
Absolutely true. You know, you said that you saw in A&E a woman with blood on her face having a chat.
Yeah.
I spent, I think, about 4 hours in A&E wearing a karate suit once.
Did you?
Yeah. I entered a karate competition. I used to be quite keen.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that you were in when they tried a live version of Hong Kong Phooey.
I thought it was a red or black stunt gone wrong.
I was quite a keen karateka, which means student of
It's all
karate.
coming out, isn't it? With a cockerel actor,
do you know,
martial artist.
There's a lot hidden down there.
I entered a competition. A bloke turned up at the club that I used to go to, and he was a bit of an odd man, and he went, "Oh, there's a competition on in York, does anybody want to come?" And nobody else wanted to go. Perhaps the rest of them, with wisdom, thought, "I'm not spending a day with him." I went.
Yeah.
The only rule that you had to abide by was that you had to have a box. So I think I borrowed a cricket box off somebody.
Oh, that kind of a box.
A groin guard. Let's call it groin guard.
Yeah.
Sadly, no rule that you had to have a gum shield. I learnt that lesson the hard way. I did a sparring.
Yeah.
Popped a guy on the mouth, got him. Split second later, he got me right on the chin, and my top tooth went in my lip and out the bottom. Yeah, stitches.
Brilliant. Like a clasp. Like a clasp on a small handbag.
It was horrible, though. I mean, I ended up back on my line with a blood-stained ghee crotty.
Back on the hockey.
I was back on the hockey.
Do they call it
He
the
knows
hockey?
all the terms, doesn't he?
They don't call it the hockey.
And you ended up
it
in
would be
there.
great if they had 2 hockeys for a karate competition, but no.
Well, karate
sadly.
and acting, just 2
Yeah.
of the arrows in the Cockerel's quiver. The Cockerel's quiver, of course, was a 1950s dance craze. I don't know if you remember.
You're listening to Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Frank, we've had an email in, and it's one I rather like. Dear Cockerel the...
In brackets.
Yes.
Is that
No.
his phone book entry?
After you said that thinking of lime pickle makes your mouth water... well, we
yeah.
should just allow the Cockerel to explain. You did say that.
Even saying the words lime pickle makes my mouth... Well, it's gone.
It's
gone.
I can see. I can
I'm
see.
having a gosher.
Yeah,
No,
it's gone. It's gone
It's
over
worked with me.
Oh, love it.
I was in... Are we allowed to mention what a shop is, Frank?
What a shop
shop
is.
is.
Are we allowed to mention the name of a shop?
Oh, we'll be
I was
fine.
in Pret-a-Manger and saw that they now have curry and lime pickle flavour crisps. Although my reaction was one of disgust, I thought that I should
course.
let you know in case you want to avail yourself of this creation.
Well, it's funny.
This is
that,
from Deeper, Frank.
Deeper, okay. Oh, was it Deeper whose dad is?
Yes, he says, by the way, my father's name, Popat, is the Gujarati word for parrot. Although this is his real name, not a nickname, it's not in the least bit weird for a Gujarati person to be called this. Maybe one day the Cockerel and Junior Cockerel will be included in the big book of baby names.
That's nice,
So
isn't it?
people... Gujarati... You cannot be a Gujarati person, can it? It's a language. But,
Yes, that's
but
correct.
his dad is called Parrot. That's his
Yeah.
real name.
Popat, which means parrot, yeah.
I hope that does catch on as an English name.
Yeah.
That's what I think Nicolas Cage should call his son. And that other American actor, Tony Droppings.
God. Okay, never mind that, Frank.
We've got the crisps right
I know.
here. We've
I'm
sent
so
out,
excited.
we've sent out Sarah, our new assistant producer or associate producer. Which one is he? Assistant, okay.
Oh, Emma was it?
Emma, the producer, jumped in there to make sure, just to make sure that the ranks were all very clear.
The way she
No
said
mutiny.
it.
No.
Anyway, this is a curry lime pickle.
This is a touch
Okay.
of the food programme on Radio 4.
Oh, here we go.
Is it?
Cockerel, I'm watching your mouth. Oh!
Listen to that. No, can you not? No, but see, now you've named the shop, you better like it or be sued.
Lovely!
Well, it tastes like curry.
For the listener at home, Emily is crying and I'm on my second one.
I'm on my second one, but I tell you, I don't know if I mentioned this before. I don't like Indian food,
Oh.
except poppadoms.
Oh.
I love poppadoms. I'd be happy to go out and have 3 courses of poppadoms where everyone around me gets into a chicken Joe Frazier, whatever it's called. Actually, Joe Frazier was former heavyweight champion of the world. A chicken Joe Frazier is not something I would want to say in his presence, let me put it that way. But these sort of combine the two. They're sort of a bit poppadom-like, but with a bit of curry. I mean, they taste like curry.
What's your verdict, Frank?
I haven't picked up on the lime pickle. Have you?
It's fusion food gone mad, isn't it? It's like having a cheese and onion poppadom.
Yeah.
A lime pickle and curry crisp. I think it's all right. It's all right. I don't
All right.
think it's going to revolutionise the crisp world in the same way as sweet chilli did.
Did that
Thai
revolutionise the
sweet
crisp
chilli
world?
crisps. Oh yeah, they've really caught on.
Have they?
Oh, they
Not in
really-
our house. I'm afraid I've still got 3 boxes of Frank roast dinner to get through.
Have you noticed I've said nothing, which means you might be able to gauge from that what my
Your
response
eyes are
to the
watering.
Yes, I know, they are.
They are actually... I've never seen a crisp do that unless someone's actually had a crisp in their eye, that's a horrible thing. I sometimes find that salt and vinegar crisps have got a bit too much both of salt and of vinegar.
Oh.
So the corners of my mouth get sore as I eat them.
The Cockerel's tucking in on mic.
I'm going to finish this bag.
I better get some music on or something. I don't like the Cockerel and warm. I mean, it's very unprofessional.
Sorry, I'll stop now. I'll stop.
What else?
Well, I'd like to talk to you about Jackie O. I know this feels like
Jackie O.
absolute 60s.
Yeah.
But hear
How
me
do you
out.
get a nickname like that? Anyway, Jackie O, who used to be Jackie Kennedy, in
Well,
case
she
you
did,
don't know.
exactly.
She was the wife. I'm just giving you a bit of background history. She's
Yeah.
the wife of JFK.
And
And then she married Aristotle Onassis,
Yeah.
the Greek shipping millionaire.
Yeah, much better match. But I've been enjoying the revelations this week. Have you seen them? Because she's revealed this new site. These secret tapes have come out. And, oh, Frank.
This is such
she
an
likes-
Emily Dean story.
I
isn't it?
loved
really
it.
is. It
She's
really is.
got...
It's bitchy remarks from the
Yes.
grave. It's got everything.
It turns out she's a bit of an Amanda Platel.
Mm.
I didn't know she had it in her. There's a long list of people crossed off that Christmas card list. Indira Gandhi.
I mean, who can be nasty about Indira Gandhi?
She said she was a pushy, horrible woman. You've got to be quite pushy, though, to be a leader of a nation. She's making
Well, I
it sound like
suppose,
Vanessa Feltz.
I've always thought Indira Gandhi was very endearing.
And I'll tell you
That's how
something
she
else.
got her name.
They did a mean thing in the paper where they showed a young picture of Jackie O and a really old, wizened picture of Indira Gandhi. And you go, next to each other at the same age, they were probably both attractive women. It's a bit unfair. Like, I could probably take a picture of me from when I played Jason the asthmatic in A&E
Yeah.
around the age of 20 and put me next to a 65-year-old Hugh Grant, and I'll look all right, I think.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? It's not a like-for-like comparison, is it?
She was a pioneer, Indira Gandhi. I mean, she had the red dot before the BBC.
We are Absolute Radio, and right now you're listening to Frank Skinner's section of the broadcast.
Absolute Radio.
We were talking about Jackie Onassis,
/.
formerly Kennedy,
I call her J.O.K.
Bouvier.
Nee
or something.
Bouvier, very
Yeah,
good.
Yeah. And she's been. Who do you call her?
J.O.K. Just so that we know where we stand.
Oh, okay.
She's J.O. to everybody else, isn't she? But to me, she's J.O.K.
Yeah. And she said people who were great heroes. She said terrible things about.
It's an extraordinary
Which is
collection
always
of
fun.
people.
But she did say them and then sort of said, don't release these tapes for 50 years after my death, didn't she?
Or how about don't release them at all? Or even better, don't say it.
Yeah, I love time release vitriol.
Yeah.
I'm going to say some nasty stuff. Can you hold it back a bit?
But also, a slightly weird thing is that it's only 47 years after her death and they've brought them
They
out
just
anyway.
couldn't wait. They
No.
just could not
It
wait.
was either that or they thought that tape players were going to go obsolete in the next 3.
Well, it wasn't just
that
Mrs.
could be true.
Gandhi. She said, not something I ever thought I'd say on Absolute Radio.
I don't know.
She said Churchill was Gaga.
No, that'll be that meat overcoat he wore on VE Day.
She did.
Well, I mean, I think I've mentioned. Hold on, I'm going to cough. I've got a little bit of curry
Okay.
and lime pickle crisp in my windpipe. They're a death trap, The Guardian, and I used to know Churchill's pastry chef.
Thanks.
Don't know. I didn't know. I really did. I knew a woman. She said she by then was an old lady, and she'd been Churchill's pastry chef at his home in his declining years.
Oh.
And she said he used to get up every morning, walk down through the house, through the kitchen, wearing just a vest,
Oh,
go
God.
out into the garden, urinate, and then go back in.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's
I
absolutely.
really wish I didn't know that about Churchill.
Yeah. Or was that Blondie, Hitler's Alsatian? No, it was Churchill. No, to be fair to him, he's an old man then, and people get a bit strange. It's a bit like my dream of walking around in just a pajama jacket, except he was walking the
living
walk.
that dream.
He was,
He
yeah.
was living the
He probably had dreams that he was walking through the streets in a three-piece suit. And was appalled. But yeah, but apparently he did. Of course, there was the urination ban was on at the time, which was a bit like the smoking ban. As you couldn't go indoors. I remember as a child, you used to pass pubs, there'd be 4 or 5 people outside urinating. Of all the genders represented, and animals.
Martin Luther King. Terrible sex pest.
I mean, you can't say that about Martin
Well,
Luther
I'm
King,
not
even
saying
if
it.
it's true. No, but apparently
That's one notch not on my belt,
So
sadly.
it's
But the
a bad choice of words, isn't it? Terrible sex pest as opposed to what a good sex pest.
well, the
Splendid.
sex pest I can tolerate. But he was... but apparently that, according to the Daily Mail, we all knew that. I didn't know it.
Oh, there's a strange.
I didn't know that
article in the
either.
Daily
They
Mail.
must have been on edges. When he said, I had a dream, I bet his associates were thinking, oh no, which one's it going to be? That this nation will join together. Oh, thank goodness for that.
He's got for the
I
good
thought
one.
it was going to be Marilyn Monroe and the boa constrictor. They must have been frightened people.
Frank, Charles de Gaulle, spiteful egomaniac. Another autobiography title stolen.
I have to say, Charles de Gaulle. I just love the fact that he's sometimes known as Charles. Instead of, I've always been a big fan of the French pronunciation of Charles. That's something about
I went for Charles, I hope you noticed.
Yeah.
Spiteful egomaniac. Which I like that, because it makes him sound... I like the idea of him being spiteful. He doesn't strike me. That's not a quality I would associate.
Well, it makes him sound like a spiteful egomaniac, doesn't it?
But in what respect? In a sort of Got Kwan way?
Is he a spiteful egomaniac?
I didn't say that.
No.
I didn't say that.
No, Judi Dench said it about him.
I wouldn't be at all surprised to find that out. Judy Vinegar Dench, as we call her.
We are Absolute Radio, and right now you're listening to Frank Skinner's section of the broadcast.
We've had some information in as well, re Jackie Kennedy.
Okay.
Just in case you're wondering, the reason that those tapes have been released, I believe tapes released by consent of her daughter, and all relates to US TV not showing the Kennedys featuring Katie Holmes. I like it when they provide us with information.
So it was a deal.
That was from Andrew Green. Thank you, Andrew Green.
That's very interesting.
Right.
Lenny Bruce, the great American comic, used to do some stuff about Jackie Kennedy, because they claimed, there's a bit where he gets shot and she starts crawling along the back of the car, clearly trying to get the hell out of there. And the thing was, to try and make her sound heroic, was something like she was trying to retrieve the top of his head. Well, when you see someone on a push bike sometimes will stop because something's fell out their saddlebag and they have to go off and go and get it, like that. Clearly the woman was just trying to get away. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Frank, we've also had a text in...
I mean, he had lovely hair. It's a shame to...
Frank.
It is a shame to waste. He always had great hair.
No, it was good hair, actually.
It was good hair. And I've noticed everyone on BBC Breakfast on a Saturday morning looks a little bit like a Kennedy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, with that sandy bobby, not so much Edward Kennedy.
Yeah, there's
I don't know if you've ever read it.
Right.
Did you ever read Edward Kennedy's autobiography?
No.
It's called Fish in My Rearview Mirror. It was terrifying tale. Anyway, we can sit and talk all day. Don't worry, we're not going to. Those of you waiting for, some soft rock.
You're listening to Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Frank, there's some news in which I thought...
Late news just come in.
Well, I thought you'd be delighted by this news, knowing that you're not a fan of waste. The sell-by dates, did you read about this?
I did hear
They're
about
actually going to
this.
be banned. Do you like the way I try and make it more scandalous using the word banned?
Yeah.
But they're dispensing with the whole concept of sell-by date. It's going to be best before, but because people were just throwing away too much stuff. I know I did it.
Oh.
My bins, Jerry Halliwell would have had a field day around those bins of mine.
Yeah.
So much good produce in there.
Well, I have to say, it's terrible news for the homeless.
It's terrible news for me that likes to buy things with an orange sticker on them saying, oops, eat me now. They're not going to reduce things now, are they? There's not going to be like a corner fridge on an aisle just with loads of people like me rummaging, going, oh, there's a pork pie.
I used to do that, man. When I was on the dole on Saturday early evening, they used to have stickers on like, eat before 10 to 7. I mean, it was really eat at your peril stickers.
Yeah, I don't mind that sort of thing. I mean, surely if people do eat it and it's off, then they die, then that's just natural selection. I'm fine with that.
Oh, that's a bit of a...
Oh, it's got a bit
You've
harsh.
adopted a Darwinian labelling.
Exactly.
No, but there are a lot of homeless that live out the bins
Yeah.
at the back of Pret-a-Manger and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they're going to be in big...
Well, they can have these crisps for a start.
I believe that amongst the homeless, on the turn is officially classed as a cuisine.
On the turn.
Yeah.
Nice.
And they are. There's going to be none of that now. By the time the sandwiches go out, they're going to be rancid.
Oh.
Well, Frank, I throw a tin out if the font looks a little bit dated. That makes me panic.
Yeah, I think font warnings. That's always a good thing. I tell you what I don't like in supermarkets. I had this with loaves the other day. The way they put the older loaves at the front
Oh, yeah.
and the older ones at the back.
Newer ones, yeah. You've
And the
got to
new
have a
ones at the
rubbish.
back, yeah. So you've got so they want you to buy ones that's less fresh than the other ones. And I have to do that thing where I start going to the back, and they look at you, the people who work in there.
Yeah. I think, well, they're giving you a look as if to go, we don't want you to box clever, we want you to be a gullible consumer.
Go
and
for
take
the old
one
ones at the front. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I think this is what happened the first time Wayne Rooney went to buy love. And he never got anywhere near the new ones, a poor lamb. Anyway, look, we can't sit here talking all day because there's Mark Crossley's on next for a start off. And but if you do want to hear a little bit more of this kind of stuff, yeah, some people do, you can download Not the Weekend podcast. That's available from Wednesday morning, unofficially Tuesday night. And yeah, we haven't done it yet, obviously, but I'm confident it'll be brilliant. And that's about it from us. And if the good Lord's willing and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back this time next week. We love you all. Goodbye.
We are Absolute Radio, and right now you're listening to Frank Skinner's section of the broadcast.